Want to stop juggling spreadsheets, calendars, and a dozen apps just to run your rentals? Logify makes it easy. It's an all-in-one toolkit for hosts. Build a direct booking website, automate guest messaging, and keep all your channels in sync. Running your rental business your way has never been simpler. And for Good Morning Hospitality listeners, you can get 20% off any yearly plan with code GMH20. Just check the link in the show notes to get started today.
Welcome to Good Morning Hospitality, your one-stop shop for the latest news, noteworthy trends, and thought-provoking discussions across the industry. From hotels and short-term rentals to all things travel and hospitality, you'll find each episode equips you with the information that you need to start your week. Join us on Good Morning Hospitality every Monday, wherever you get your podcasts.
Good morning.
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 Wow, look at you two. Bright and early. It's a nice, beautiful morning. Do you guys think I sound a little funny for being Leo, right? I think I got a little bit of cough. I'm a little sick.
Leo's changed today.
Yeah, it's changed a lot. Oh man, gotta love a good old switcheroo 5 a.m. in the morning. But how are you guys doing? Good to see you both. Damien, congrats on Scale Green. I know you guys talked about it last week, but I get to hear everything after. So it's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, it was good. And thank you, Rafi, for your kind comments, complimentary words last week. It was fun. Yeah, I think it was well received. I think with some great speakers. And, it's, as I've been saying to a lot of people, hopefully this is a stepping stone. It wasn't a huge event. It was about 80 odd people or so. But everyone was engaged, and and I think the message was the most important thing, and that there's something to lean on here. So I'm excited. I'm excited for the future.
Yeah, you just becoming the conference king over there. So it's obviously a lot of fun for me to watch from our time together in Miami. So,
oh God, that feels like a long time ago now, Will. Huh?
It feels like forever ago. I'm like, yeah, let's do it again. Let's do one more for the road, Rafi, how are you doing? You getting settled back into things? I know you had a fun Cinco de Mayo day. So
yeah,
it was
actually
in your world?
A full week. We've been celebrating for a week.
Wow.
No,
okay.
For some reason we've created a tradition at Over Network of celebrating Cinco de Mayo. No one is Mexican in the company, so don't ask me why we're doing this. It's mainly for the food, actually. We have one guy who used to work for us. He comes back every year now for this, but he cooks tacos so well. Like, he makes the best tacos. So it's all centered around the food, and it's just a really great excuse for us to all get together and have a little party.
So next year, what you're saying is we need to bring the show to OVO Network for a good week of fun and Cinco de Mayo.
Maybe.
Okay. There we go. See, we're gonna go global, guys. We're gonna go global. I'm excited. I'm stepping in for Leo. For anyone who's listening, who's like, why is this American guy on the European version of the show? Thankfully, when you own the show, you get to hop in when people need you, and that's the fun stuff. So Leo had a little family stuff come up. Daughter feeling sick, so he had to play the role of dad, which is always a well accepted excuse, I would say, for missing a recording. So we miss you, Leo. The show will not be as good without him. So just FYI, guys, this is going to be a fun roller coaster. But before we jump into all the fun topics and articles, I am curious, Rafi specifically, since you've been on every episode since we launched GMH Europe, how have you been liking it so far? Any fun feedback from people, or are you just completely terrified of seeing yourself on camera every time?
Yeah, there's definitely that. I'm avoiding, I don't like to listen to the episodes that I'm in, so I'm trying to avoid that part of it. But yeah, there's been some good feedback. It's definitely a challenge for me personally, but it's a really good challenge, so I'm enjoying it so far.
A challenge for you to come out of your shell? Is that what you mean? Yeah. Marketing people get so comfortable just being behind the scenes and letting their creation go out to the wild, but not today. We're putting you front and center. Damien, how have you liked it so far? Any fun feedback? Just always curious.
Kind of similarly to Rafi, I spent many years, as you know, marketing myself, doing SEO, and very much behind the scenes, one of those keyboard warriors. And I really, like about 4 or 5 years ago, just threw myself into these conferences. Not a public speaker at all, still not. Still, I dread getting up on stage. Still do not enjoy these things at all. But, I think sometimes you can think about these things a little bit too much, and you just get out there, do it. If you don't want to listen back, which I generally don't listen back. But hopefully people don't slate you too much and value something you've got to say. So all good.
I remember Damien in Miami right before getting on stage, just looking at me like, oh, just that face. So I remember those days, man. And I get it. It's not the most fun thing, especially when you're not used to hearing your own voice. But welcome to the world of podcasting where you have to accept it now. And so
every week
Rafi's just like, man, this is kind of a lot. So very frequent. No, it's fun. It's fun. You guys have been killing it. I'm not gonna lie. From the first episode, just for the listeners, it was always kind of fun because we've been pre-recording the European versions due to the fact of just the support staff behind the scenes, getting it all edited and produced and scheduled and published live is a little bit chaotic right now, but that will change in the future. But it's been really fun. You guys have crushed it. I've texted the group chat. I've texted you all individually, being like, you are just killing it. It's a good group. I'm proud of the group. So that's my little sentiment on GMH right now. Proud of you guys. Really happy with how things are. The listeners, give them some love, some support. It's not easy. It's not easy being on this show. Just kidding. Anyways, we had some fun news pop up yesterday. Damien, sounds like maybe you kind of knew some whispers in the wind the week before. So tell me, what were your thoughts on the recent acquisition of Guesty acquiring Rentals United?
Yeah, well, look, I think it was a secret that a lot of people knew about for several weeks.
The best kept secret, or the worst best kept secret.
The worst, for sure. Yeah. So it didn't come as a surprise at all. It was just a case of when it was going to be made official. A lot of people asking me, "Hey, have you heard this news?" And I'm like, well, "Yeah, but but look, it's a huge acquisition, of course. Rentals United, the biggest channel manager out there. Guesty, probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest PMS out there. So, it stands to reason. It makes sense. And I don't have any specific allegiance to either, apart from they're very loyal sponsors of our shows. But it does make sense.
100%. What about you, Rafi? Did you have any thoughts or takes when you saw the article come out yesterday? Which, for listeners, this is Tuesday, so last week on Thursday.
I think that any acquisition in our space is really positive for all of us. So great news. We, in my case, over network, we actually have our own PMS, so we don't use a third party there. And I definitely see, benefits and maybe disadvantages to that. It's a lot of tech work. It's a huge tech burden for us. There's a lot of things that we want to be doing to personalize what we have available to us through our PMS, and everything's possible, but obviously it's not possible in terms of the resources we have always. So, but yeah, I think that we have a really great advantage at having our own PMS. But really, congratulations to Guesty. I think it's great for them and great for our industry.
Yeah, I was gonna say the consolidation play, I think, is true. And Damien, to your other comment, the biggest PMSs in our industry, I think specifically vertical wise for short-term rentals, vacation rentals, is Guesty, and then secondary comparatively is Muse for the hotel world. Muse raised another round. I think their Series F as well, about 180 million, and they had the $1 billion valuation, so that gave them the big unicorn status. And then Guesty hitting that $900 million valuation, giving them just a slight step below Muse. So it's interesting to see we have two almost basically unicorns popping up in this tech space outside of Airbnb. So it's quite interesting, specifically in the tech world. So yeah, I had fun chatting with Vered. For all the listeners, go back. It's like a short 10-minute interview. It was a fun time. Outside of that, let's jump into the rest of our other topics, which I'm going to be honest, guys, my preparation was not the best. So we're gonna do this as best as we can. The first topic, I believe, is Madrid suspending new holiday rental licenses until 2025. So, Damien, let's talk regulations real quick. What do you think?
Oof. Where do we start with regulation? I mean, this is not going to be the only place across Europe and globally where this is going to happen. It's just a sign of the times. It's a sign of where local government are going to be making these, kind of draconian decisions, which affect our industry so heavily. This is where we're at. This is what we, as an industry, have got to deal with. What we've got to club together. We need to collaborate. Without trying to push our scale conference in a couple of weeks, promote it too much, but we do have some associations who are going to be speaking on a panel all about how it's essential we come together, how we join our national associations, and how we, as a unified voice, how we can actually help ourselves, because this is going to be an ongoing thing. Local and national governments don't necessarily have our interests at heart. They, there's politics at play here. The hotel lobby are a lot stronger than we are. They're a lot more established. So we need to do a lot more together. The people in Madrid and Spain and across the world need to get together to really show how, what we can do for our local economy, in terms of staffing, in terms of what our guests spend locally. We have a huge positive influence on our local economies, but we need to fight this. We need to have a unified voice. In terms of Madrid, yeah, I know there's been a lot of changes over the last few years. This will happen across. It happened in Barcelona, obviously, too. They're very tight on regulation. There will be more down in the south as well. So, yeah, it's just something, unfortunately, we're going to have to get used to.
Rafi, any thoughts on this particular topic?
Yeah, it's interesting. There's something similar happening in France at the moment. They've proposed a bill which essentially is going to be increasing taxes for homeowners that are operating their own short-term rental properties, reducing their ability to rent out their main residence, and also making costly renovation work mandatory for renting property to tourists. I have three main issues with the regulations, whether that's in France or the one that just got passed in Madrid. First of all, I just feel like it's not really solving the core issue, which is the housing crisis. In the case of France, 91% of short-term rentals are either primary residences or secondary residences. So this law is actually only going to result in an increase in cold beds, and none of these properties are going to end up on the long-term rental space. In the long-term rental market. There's also, obviously, both Spain and France are heavily reliant on tourism, and these measures are going to be hurting the local businesses that work in the space, and will also dent the country's economies. So in France, in 2023, there was 43 billion euros that's been contributed to the country's economy from our space. So that's huge, and I don't think that that's some money that the country wants to let go of. And then the third thing is this is going to hurt homeowners, obviously. Many property owners rely on the income of short-term rentals to supplement their earnings. The new French law is reducing the tax benefits, and suspending licenses in Madrid also directly limits this income source. So overall, this is going to be straining personal finances, and that's especially hard in times of inflation. I think that just generally regulations need to be considering the needs of, obviously, residences, but also tourists and local businesses, to ensure that we're looking at sustainable tourism and also thinking about the well-being of communities. And I think one of my main recommendations would be for property management companies to just really be working together with the local communities that they're operating in, and having these discussions more regularly. And like Damien said, all of us getting together and really signing any petitions that are out there and making our voices heard.
Yeah, I think these are all really great points. And I want to ask you guys a question around the topic of the article is that they're suspending new licenses. They're not taking away or threatening current existing ones. Do you guys think that's a better move than just completely banning them completely, right? Like I would think that gives some kind of, it's just halting new inventory versus, and this is just reading briefly on the story. Don't know the full details. So if they are going further beyond that, then that's me misspeaking. But I would say, like, would you say just suspending the new inventory is better than taking away the current existing? Or do you think this has a bigger impact outside of just adding new homes? It's going to impact the current existing operators out there. Because if I'm an operator in Madrid, I'm thinking, great, there's no new competitors. I can join the market. My license, yes, I don't want this to get taken away either. So I need to work a little extra to make sure I'm on top of my stuff. But for the current time being, at least there's no new competition. Joe Schmo who heard about Airbnb or his mom and dad having an apartment in somewhere else and throwing it up on Airbnb and making a couple quick pounds or whatever, that get rich quick type of host or operator that we see sometimes. So I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Anything specific?
I don't think it's a time to be complacent and think that just because that's the situation now that it can't change in 6 or 12 months. I know governments across Europe and in Spain, their positions are very volatile and they can change overnight. And a new government in power can shift everything instantly. So I wouldn't read too much into that. Yes, whilst it's good that companies can carry on as they are, I think things can change far too quickly on our industry. I think things in the UK, for example, are going to change very quickly when Labour inevitably get into power in the coming months. So I think, and in Barcelona as well, obviously it's a similar kind of situation where new licenses were stopped. It's very volatile, the situation, and I just don't. Whilst it's good, I don't think we can rest our laurels at all here. And I think as Rafi and I both said, I think coming together, not seeing our local competitors as competitors, but actually as collaborators, I think is really the only way forward. Mm-hmm.
Any comments, Rafi?
Nothing to add.
Okay.
Damon said it all.
Yeah. No, I figured I would ask the question. It's you could take either or road, right? Like there's the together approach where it's, hey, let's benefit the community, let's lift it up, whether we're operating right next door or a couple miles down the road. Versus the collaboration aspect. So I think it's a good message all around. All right. So next topic. This is going to be a fun one. I have a lot to say, but I'm going to hold my tongue. Obviously, for at least the beginning portion, I might jump in here, get a little spitfire action. But VRMA let go of their CEO, and so she is no longer with the company, and there's no announcement for the organization to have a new CEO join in at least anytime soon. Don't really know who the interim person is going to be. But I'm not going to mention the podcast that covered some of this stuff, just do it for the sake of keeping the integrity of GMH. But we've been following it behind the scenes, and it seems quite interesting. I have thoughts and comments. But Damien, what do you think? VRMA, how do you feel about the situation with the president no longer being with the organization, getting let go, getting fired, quote unquote, and it due to poor attendance for VRMA Europe, VRMA Spring, and VRMA Houston, I believe. But yeah, what are your thoughts?
Okay, well, so I don't know the former CEO at all, Kimberly Miles, so I can't and don't want to specifically comment on her, what she's done right or wrong. I'm glad you mentioned that we shouldn't mention the name of the podcast because I was just about to. But yes, I did watch it, and the thoughts were very strong on poor attendance, poor hierarchical structure within VRMA, poor membership benefits within VRMA. Now, I don't know all of this because I'm not based in the US. I'm not a member of VRMA. All I can comment on is having been to one VRMA international event 2 years ago, I think, in Las Vegas. In fact, we were both there. We both went after the Book Direct show.
Yes,
It's a monstrous event. It's huge. Europe can't compete with the size of that event. It's absolutely astronomical. It's very different. I think culturally, the American events are very different to the US, and perhaps that's why bringing a VRMA conference to Europe potentially doesn't work. And I have to be careful here about how I word this. I think there were faults in terms of the VRMA Europe conference, which apparently is not coming back. I've just been told that over the last day or so. There was scheduling on the same week as ITB Berlin, which is a huge event. If there's one set of dates you do not want to conflict with, it's that particular event. So I think there were mistakes. I think there was undoubtedly very poor attendance. And I think that was known a month or so in advance that was going to be the case. But look, I do also know how hard it is to put on an event and to attract attendees and to have great content and to have a good user experience. So I kind of cut them a little bit of slack in that respect. But I know there is a view now, and there has been some huge bashing of VRMA over the last week, as we've seen online. That there is this feeling that it is a little bit legacy, kind of old school, a little bit white male dominated, and they not necessarily looking in terms of content at shows, not necessarily as dynamic as it could be. Now, as I said, my one experience in Las Vegas, I ended up just talking to people all day, so I didn't actually get to see any of the events. But again, I just go on feedback that I've heard from other people. In their words, a little bit meh. So I don't think it really jumps out. The content is really educational. So again, just mostly going on what I hear about the VRMA organization. I think there's room for improvement, but they're huge, and this is what people rely upon in the US for education, for that sense of belonging, for that collaboration that we've already spoken about. So it's important, like with any big organization in our industry, that they succeed and that they pull through this. So I very much wish them well. I hope they get through this difficult time, and and their events do succeed in the future, because we need them. We need organizations like the CASA and Sonder, who are having their problematic moments. We need them to succeed, because if they don't, it sends out a very a feeling of a lack of confidence within our space. So we need to club together. We don't need to bash them. Let's be let's be collaborative. Let's be supportive.
Yeah, Rafi, I know you haven't been to a VRMA, but do you have any thoughts on the article when you read it, or no comment?
I don't want to comment because I haven't been. I've never attended the VRMA, so I don't want to give an opinion that's maybe not so relevant.
No worries. I have plenty of opinions for you to fill the gap, so it'll be good. Damien, I agree with you on the sentiment of we need to, like, at the end of the day, 2021 during COVID, I went full time right before the pandemic happened. So not having any human connection and getting to see and build such a fun network on LinkedIn and not having that opportunity to meet, it sucked. And then in 2021, I remember getting to go to my first conference, which was VRMA International in San Antonio, and getting to meet the faces behind the LinkedIn profiles and the podcast episodes and the emails was so much more beneficial than I could have ever imagined. So I do have to give VRMA kind of like that hat nod, in the sense of thank you for being such a place that everyone can come together and look forward to seeing each other every year, because there are so many conferences Europe wide and America wide, in the sense of, it's hard to go to everything. And so to see everybody, this is kind of the one conference, at least in the States, where everyone knows they're going to see each other. It's very highly anticipated. It's very well attended. But I do think, there's been a lot of issues around content. Like you said, I made a comment in our private WhatsApp chat that, yeah, it's just funny how, AI is the new topic, and then 20 people signed up for ChatGPT 4, and now it feels like everyone's an AI expert talking about it at conferences. And it's like, for me, that's not beneficial. So I think they are a little bit out of touch with the content itself. And my specific opinion, and I'm not trying to bash the organization, but it is the dinosaur. We've been doing this for 30, 50 years by ourselves. We don't need anyone to tell us how to change type crowd, at least at the board director level, that isn't open to new ideas on distributing the content, getting new attendees, getting that membership up. So it is disappointing, I think, from a medium like ours, but it's been great because every time they've had a flop, from like Spring Forum to Europe, we've benefited from it, in the sense of vendors are like, we don't want to do that conference no more. We're going to go to, HFM and sponsor stuff there. So that's great for us. But at the end of the day, I think, part of our media landscape is the in-person aspect. So for me, it's just kind of, I hope it changes. I hope it stays, but I hope it changes. That's kind of my sentiment around VRMA, in the sense of we need change. We need people to be more open to the younger generation coming into this and learning about it as Airbnb and not as vacation rentals, and open up the education and even some of the events, getting new ideas. Cassiola throwing their beach party last year for advocacy, for in the name and the sake of donating all the proceeds to the advocacy fund. VRMA didn't want to work with them. They didn't want to do all this stuff. And it's like they put so many hurdles around it. So I think it hurts themselves more than not. So anyways, those are my thoughts. Do you guys have anything else before we wrap up on that one?
Not especially. I think, as you say, maybe this is a catalyst for VRMA, maybe a moment that they needed to change things up. So yeah, hopefully that is the case.
Yeah, sorry to throw a couple strong opinions out there, but trying to be honest here. It's the power of the podcast. Anyways, Rafi, this is a fun topic. Let's talk a little AI here. You want to kick us off into the next article that we found?
Yeah. So there's a new startup. I don't know how to pronounce it. ITR, maybe. They are aiming to help creators make their content bookable with AI. So the CEO believes that TikTok and Instagram Reels are now the new travel search engine. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on that, Damien, in a bit. But yeah, so they've built an AI-powered engine to automatically convert influencer videos into bookable itineraries. And their goal is to be the next generation's TripAdvisor. So first of all, I love to learn about what's going on in the AI space. I think it really helps me personally deepen my understanding of what's actually possible with AI and how property management companies can leverage that. This is obviously a solution that's more tailored to solve some frustrations that are experienced by influencers, because they're often losing out on affiliate revenue from bookings that they drive. Mm-hmm. From a traveler perspective, personally, I think there are definitely two very distinct opinions here, but personally, I actually love spending quite a bit of time doing all the research and the planning part of a trip. I think that that's a lot of fun, and it's so gratifying when the trip is successful. So I don't really feel like I need anything to take that away from me. But there is obviously also a lot of information overload. I think that we're faced with way too many options, and that can be very overwhelming. So getting some solutions out there that can help with trip planning is always great. I'm thinking from a marketing perspective, one of my main frustrations is when we're trying to do anything with social media, working with influencers, it's really difficult for us to measure the ROI on those campaigns. And I'm personally not convinced that this is going to help us with that particular frustration. I think that, well, first of all, travelers, they spend on average 2 months planning a trip, and they look at countless number of websites. Figuring out, where the booking is coming from, if it's originating from inspiration that came from an influencer or from social media, is going to be extremely difficult. And I don't really see this startup solving that issue. I think that generally, they're trying to compete with TripAdvisor in this case, which interesting. We'll see where that goes. I feel like the one company that could actually do something really interesting here would be Google, because of how much connectivity they have and all the data that they have as well. And I think that would also really help us marketers with the measuring of the ROI. But I'm interested to hear your thoughts.
Damien, do you want to go first, or what are your?
I'll let you go first, Will. How about that? Ladies first.
Oh, thank you. You're such a gentleman. Such a gentleman. I'm gonna remember that for next time. I have thoughts in the sense of last week, Michael, Brandy, and I, specifically Michael, put into the group chat Expedia's research on kind of the travel flow from inspiration to planning to booking to then the actual stay, right? And so I think you're 100% right. Tracking the inspiration moment that led to the booking is almost impossible. Let's just say that, because I could be inspired by Rafi's reel, but then 3 days later or 3 weeks later, go to that place and then book it. And yet Rafi would not get the credit because even though I got from her reel or whatever. So I think it's almost impossible to track the inspiration moment that led to a booking. And I know this from a marketing perspective that when we work with a sponsor or a vendor on any type of campaign and it has dollars behind it, tracking and making sure that the links are in place and that everything is like the workflows are all there is so important. And even when you do all the right steps and you have all the right things in place to track, you still have those people that hear an ad, they don't do anything, and then 30 days later they go and they call and they're like, oh, I remember this company because of that podcast. And then they book the service. They don't mention it. They didn't use a link. They didn't use a landing page, yet that sponsor or vendor got the sign up based on the podcast. So I get that. It's almost impossible to track sometimes. So like, I guess my thinking is if it's bookable in the content, if I'm on TikTok, if I'm on Instagram and I get inspired and I immediately have an easy option that's not link in bio to go book, I think some kind of tool or AI technology that makes that possible would make it easier. So maybe we'll see a pickup at least in the affiliates and the trackable, I guess, assets that go into this type of stuff. But those are my thoughts. I'll leave it there. And then Damien, Rafi, whoever wants to go.
In terms of like TikTok Reels and similar kind of platforms, I'm the wrong person to speak about this because this is not somewhere I go apart from just showing my kids a couple of funny videos every now and again. So this is not somewhere where I would potentially plan a trip. I am very much a planner, but I use very traditional places to do my research. That's generally reviews and places to find images or videos of that destination. So tracking is a nightmare. I've worked on this for many years, and I'll give you actually just a personal example of something whereby I had a booking myself from for my own place. The same couple booked for about a year and a half in total over the next 5 years, about a year and a half worth in total. And it was only when I asked them, so where did you find out about us? And they said, we saw an article on your website about places to watch football in the local area. I'm like, oh my goodness, wow, of all the random things. And yeah, I could have been putting money into Google ads and Facebook ads and all these kind of things, but it was just the simplest thing. But I would never have known unless I've asked. So yeah. I think this tracking is like every marketer's nightmare in a way to try and keep up with. But this particular kind of booking implementation integration is the jury's very much out for me. But yeah, as I said, perhaps I'm just showing my age.
Well, Rafi, I'm curious because TikTok's going to be banned in the US. So how do you think this startup is going to pivot with that change?
Well, there's still Instagram, which actually I think, depending on what your target market is, we're not going for Generation Z personally. Like Over Network, we're more for the older generations. Instagram is still very much present and still super, super relevant. I definitely use it way more than TikTok, and I get a lot of inspiration from there. So they're not. I think that they still have a chance.
Yeah, I agree. Any other thoughts around this, like this trend? I think I know if Michael Golden was in Leo's place right now covering for this episode, he would have a lot more thoughts. This is definitely something he gets excited about. But I think this shifts. I think we're seeing a shift in booking and social media, especially with Airbnb. That's a whole nother bag of worms. What, a can of worms? There we go. Yeah, can of worms. It's 5:30 in the morning for me, guys. But yeah, no, it's a whole new can of worms. But I think it's such an interesting time for travel and the intersects that social media platforms and the inspirational bookable moments have. So, Rafa, any other thoughts around it? I'm very curious from a marketer's perspective too, not just any marketer, but like you're like a legit marketer in my head, because
I think, just generally for me, because of there's the whole AI. ChatGPT is coming in. We don't know what's going to happen with Google. How much can we rely on SEO and it doing its work? How it's been going so far. And I think that there's a lot of questions around there. It's like, is Google going to function the same way, or is it going to function more like a ChatGPT in the future? In which case, all our efforts on SEO, where's that going to go? I think that, from like at Over Network, we're definitely trying to leverage social media more and rely less on Google and SEO. And we are definitely seeing that trend anyway. So yeah, let's see where it goes. But I think social media definitely is coming up and gaining importance in the travel space.
100%. Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, do you guys have anything fun coming up this week? Rafi, what's popping off in France?
Tomorrow morning I have to be in a ski station, not too far, but still at 7 a.m. because we're doing a Clean the Resorts event up there.
Oh, fun.
Helping out, trying to become a little bit more eco-friendly. So
just doing our part. Love it. That's awesome. That's awesome. That's a good way to spend the morning too. I couldn't imagine a better way. Coffee, it's a little bit of snow. Is it snow? Yeah? No?
Rain.
Okay, just kidding. Well, I take it. I'm going to backpedal my comments here. Back that up. What about you, Damien? You Rico's birthday today, the day that we're recording. Happy birthday, Rico.
It was actually last week, but we had to postpone his party because of rain. So we're having it today. I'm leaving in about 6 minutes, in fact, to take him and a lot of his friends down to the beach. So yeah, a nice early start to the weekend, which is a start I shouldn't be having scale in about 10 days. But families first.
Yeah, a little pre-conference vacay. We all need a little time off. So congratulations, Rico, another year around the sun. Sorry we went a couple minutes over this week, guys. But I had fun, obviously, getting to hang out with you two. Not every time do I get to hang out with all GMH crews in 1 week, so it's kind of an exciting thing. So appreciate you guys doing what you do on the show. For all the listeners that tuned in on the live, you know exactly what to do. You like, comment, subscribe to Rafi, to Damien, to Leo, to Sarah, the whole show. And then, of course, we'll see you guys again next week.
Want to stop juggling spreadsheets, calendars, and a dozen apps just to run your rentals? Logify makes it easy. It's an all-in-one toolkit for hosts. Build a direct booking website, automate guest messaging, and keep all your channels in sync. Running your rental business your way has never been simpler. And for Good Morning Hospitality listeners, you can get 20% off any yearly plan with code GMH20. Just check the link in the show notes to get started today.